Hello and welcome to FatbossTV. My name is Alex and today we're going to have a little look at Recruit a Friend, what it is, how it works, what the best leveling routes are and how the in-game perks function and all that kind of good stuff. Now just to give you guys a little bit of background information, I've done Recruit a Friend about 7 times. I did it when it first came out in Wrath of the Lich King, when like the triple experience cap was level 60. I leveled a couple of characters with that. I did it about 4 times with multiple people in Cataclysm and twice in Mists of Pandaria. So I've done it a fair amount, probably too many times, but because I do know it, I've done it so many times, I thought that it would be a good idea to share with you guys all the things that I have learned about Recruit a Friend through the years, so you can go into it with all the knowledge that you need to make some amazing ults. So let's kick it off. So what actually is Recruit a Friend? Well, Recruit a Friend is a scheme available in WoW that allows a player to recruit somebody else to start a new account and come play World of Warcraft. If you do this, the recruiter, which is the veteran player, and the recruit will be given perks and rewards for using this scheme, such as like triple experience, level granting, being able to summon your friend, and pets and mounts, and much more. But before we do go into that into detail, first you actually need to know how to recruit a friend. Now this has been recently changed to make it so you can recruit a friend using the in-game interface. Beforehand you used to have to go on the Battle.net site and do it all through that, but now you can do it in the game with a lovely interface in World of Warcraft, so that's absolutely fine. Now to recruit a friend who does not have a World of Warcraft account, or whose World of Warcraft account is fewer than 30 days old, all you have to do is log into World of Warcraft, open up your friends list and click the Recruit a Friend icon in the upper right corner, enter in your friend's email address, and then that will send them an email invitation. They'll get the email invitation, and as long as they do it within 7 days and activate the starter edition within 7 days, the link will be made between your accounts, and this link will last for 90 days. This link will make it so all your perks are like activated, like the triple experience and whatnot. An interesting thing you can do is recruit a friend who already has a Battle.net account with an active WoW account on it that is older than 30 days old. This will create a new WoW account under the same Battle.net account. They will still have to buy a new version of WoW for this account, as well as pay for the subscription fee. However, they will be able to send heirlooms over from their main World of Warcraft account to the new recruited World of Warcraft account, as they are under the same Battle.net account, and all heirlooms are Battle.net account bound. This also allows you to transfer characters between accounts. However, Blizzard charge for this service. It's quite expensive and it will hurt your wallet if you like make 10 ults. It's going to cost you a lot of money. So yeah, you might want to take that into account if you are going to do this. You can also send yourself a Recruit a Friend request because you know you're that lonely by typing in your own Battle.net address into the form. This will add another WoW account under your Battle.net account, in which you will need to buy the game again and pay for the subscription and all that sort of stuff. But people mainly do this for multiboxing, where you play 2 different WoW accounts at the same time. Multiboxing is allowed by Blizzard, so you won't get punished for this or anything. But the only thing is that when you're doing 5-mans, people might get a little bit annoyed at you. Some people really dislike multi-boxes for some reason, and like you're probably not doing as much damage and healing as you could. It's probably a bit clunky, so yeah, just be aware that some people might be a bit annoyed. Loz has actually delved into a bit of multi-boxing, and he uses a software called ISBoxer, which we've left a link in the description for. So if you click on that link, you do actually get a bit of free time, so you can try out the software and everything like that. It's quite interesting. So yeah, you can always try that out for yourself. So now you actually know how to recruit someone, or a friend, or you know yourself. These are the perks and rewards that you get for recruiting a friend. So if the recruit buys 1 month of game time, the veteran will gain 1 month game time absolutely free as a reward for, you know, getting people to play this game. If the recruit buys 2 months of game time, the veteran will be able to choose one of 8 epic mounts or pets through an in-game interface as well. So you literally just find the one that you want and grab it, and they're all exclusive to the Recruit a Friend system as well, so they're all pretty fancy. Now in terms of the actual in-game perks, which are probably the most important thing to do with Recruit a Friend, there are quite a few of them. We're going to go through them one by one, and we're going to start off with the summoning. So you can actually summon one another's characters to your location. Now this works on a 30-minute cooldown that is character based, so you can actually keep switching characters and summoning one another. In order to summon your friend, you will right click their name either like on their character portrait, or you can do it through your friends list. You right click it, then you go down to summon friend, and then after a short cast they all gain a little box that says accept summon, and then they come over. It's the exact same like warlock summoning, except you know you don't need a warlock there. So yeah, you can do that. Now this will not work if the target is above 85, however the summoner can be level 90. So say the recruit is on his level 20 character and you're on your level 90 character, you can just summon them over through the same system, however they can't summon you. Now when you are in a group together, you will have triple experience. This works as long as you are within 4 levels of each other and will stop working once you hit level 85. You also have to be within a certain range of each other, like in-game range. You can't be too far apart because you just won't gain the triple experience. This is mainly an issue when you are like giving in quests, so make sure that both players are fairly like close within each other. Mainly if you can see each other, you should be fine, but when you do hand in your quest, make sure you are close because sometimes it doesn't activate. So if you're handing in a quest, make sure your friend isn't on a flight path on another continent, because it just won't work. Phasing can also cause issues. If you manage to be in separate phases in the game but in like the same place, I don't know how you've managed that, but triple experience may not work. You're very, very rarely going to be phased from one another, so you don't need to be like worried about it too much. But it's something you might want to keep in mind. You'll also be able to grant levels. For every 2 levels gained by the recruit, they gain the ability to grant 1 level to the veteran's player's character of their choosing. The veteran cannot grant levels to the recruit's character. It's only one way. I guess this was like likely put in as a way for the recruit to continue playing while the veteran goes and does some like late game stuff like raids and PvP, so the recruit can keep leveling, and then once he comes back he can just grant him a couple of levels. I guess that was the kind of point of it. Now this will only work if the recruit's character is a higher level than the veteran's character that is receiving the level. So if both of you are the same level or the recruit is on a lower level character, this just won't work. Also, you cannot grant levels to a target that is level 85 or higher. However, the recruit can grant levels from a 90 character. So you could have already leveled a character to 85 and then got it to 90 and then have that level 90 character grant levels to the veteran's level 1 character. As long as the accounts are still linked, you can still grant those levels. When you grant a level to the veteran's character, they will receive 100% experience. That means if he is level 10 with like 90% experience through the level, when he gets granted a level, he will go all the way up to level 11 with 90% through the level. Because of this, you can actually grant a level 84 character with 99% experience in a level. If you grant them a level, they will become a level 85 with 99% experience. This means you can kind of skip the Jade Forest. Yes! I mean, oh no, it's such a good zone. Yes. Now, because you gain a leveling token, so to speak, every 2 levels, once you hit level 85, you would have gained 42 of them. This means if you've leveled 2 characters to level 85, the recruit can grant a level 1 character all the way up to level 85 using up all of his tokens. This is a nice way to level up a class that you can't really be bothered to play at early levels. All you'll do is get the recruit to go on one of his characters, grant all of his levels, log over to the other character that's high level, grant all those levels, and then you'll be absolutely fine. Now, before we get into what leveling routes you can take, we need to talk about heirlooms. Heirlooms are great for leveling. They make leveling faster with the bonus experience, which actually stacks with Recruit a Friend, and you just have good gear throughout like the whole leveling experience. However, if one of you do not have access to heirlooms, neither of you should use them. Weapons, shields, offhands and trinkets are absolutely fine because they don't increase the amount of experience that you gain, but if one person has heirlooms that grant experience and the other player doesn't, you will vastly outlevel them like very, very quickly. And as the triple experience only works when you're within 4 levels of each other, you may actually lose the bonus, and it just gets complicated. So pretty much only use heirlooms if both of you have them. It's just a pain in the ass otherwise. So now that's all cleaned up, it's time to level. However, depending on who you've recruited will kind of depend on what route you want to level together. So there are 2 main leveling routes. You've got the questing route and you've got the 5-man dungeon finder spam route. Now the questing route is pretty much you just do quest to quest, go to zone, and just do the questing experience how like it used to be, I suppose. This is kind of nice for newer players because they kind of don't really know what the hell's going on, especially if they're like mega new, never seen an MMO, never played WoW before, done none of that sort of stuff. They don't even understand like some of the basic game mechanics, such as like accepting quests and handing in quests and dealing damage, looting corpses, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a nicer environment to put them in so they can kind of get a little bit grasp of how things work. So I would really recommend doing the questing route for them. This will also allow like a player who's returning from the game, like say they stopped in like Wrath of the Lich King, it allows them to experience the 1 to 60 leveling, which has been updated in Cataclysm. So it's got all those new pretty cool quests. Actually, I've done quite a lot of them myself and it was actually really worth doing. So I would recommend doing the questing for that. There's only a couple of problems with the questing route. It's a lot slower than the spam 5-man route, but also because you're leveling at 3 times the rate in which you're supposed to like be leveling in any given zone, you just out-level the zone really, really quickly, meaning that you'll be missing out on huge chunks of content and all the quests that the zones have to offer, especially since most of the best content and like all the good quests are at the end of long quest chains. Halfway through the quest chain, you would have out-leveled it by then, so like you might as well have moved on. And even when you do move on, there's a problem because the travel time between zones can take a really long time, especially if you haven't got a flying mount yet, or you're on like a 60% mount or something like that. It's really, really slow, so that's another thing. It's pretty tedious to go between those things. You can get around that by just having like the veteran player log on his main, and then you can summon each other. You can do that, but I guess that's a way of getting around it. It isn't too bad. In terms of actual like route going through the questing thing, that completely depends on your race and like what level you are at and when you want to leave and all that kind of stuff. I haven't really done the questing like route very much. Personally, because I wanted to level an ult very, very quickly, so it does really depend on the zone that you want to go to. But one thing to make it a little bit quicker is try to go to zones that have like the next zone you're going to go to very close by. For example, if you want to go to Badlands, then you can go to Searing Gorge straight after, and then maybe Burning Steeps. They're very, very close, and then like they lead off from each other, so you can always try and do that. But overall, it's not too bad. I would definitely recommend this like sort of questing route to like people who are like really, really new to the game and don't really understand how things work that much, because a 5-man might be a little bit much for them, just lobbing them in the deep end. They don't really know what they're doing. Also, like just people who want to chill a bit. You don't need to rush through all the content. You can just have a nice relaxing time, put on the game sounds, put on the music, and read the quest text or don't know what you want to do, but that's one of the routes if you want to take it. The other route, which is the route I pretty much know most about, and the route that I would highly recommend, is the Dungeon Finder route. Apart from boosting or like mob tagging in certain areas, which I'm not actually going to talk about because they just get changed all the time, the fastest possible way to level for Recruit a Friend is through the Dungeon Finder 5-mans. You can level your character from level 15, which is when the Dungeon Finder becomes available, to level 85 entirely through the Dungeon Finder. Now, the Dungeon Finder is just amazing because you always have content that's relevant to your level, because you just be placed in instances that are good for your level. It's very rare you'll go into an instance that has like mobs that are green for you, or mobs that are even grey. I've never seen that before, so it's always fairly good. The dungeon quests are amazing, especially in vanilla. Since they revamped most of the like instances, all the quests for the dungeons are actually at the beginning of the dungeon, and you can normally hand them in at the end, or you can just teleport out and in and go back to the beginning and just hand in a bunch of quests, and they give a huge amount of experience. Like 4 quests might give you an entire level, because they are like dungeon quests just give a huge amount of experience in comparison to normal quests. As well as the high density of elite mobs that you get in 5-mans as well, which like elite mobs give you a ton of experience, and with 5 players they just melt anyway, as well as not having any travel time, because when you enter like a random group it teleports you to the instance straight away. The random dungeon reward is what really makes 5-man dungeoning worth it. When you complete a random dungeon, you'll be given one of the satchels with some rare gear in it, and as well as a lump of experience. This experience is affected by heirloom and triple experience. Now, because of this, the XP gained from completing a dungeon can be a whole level by itself, and that's not even including killing the mobs or doing any of the quests. Like, for example, Raidfire Chasm, which is probably one of the first instances you'll sign for, gives nearly 3 levels of experience just for completing the instance, which is absolutely insane amount of experience. It doesn't go like that forever. You don't get 3 like levels at the end of every instances, but mainly throughout the whole of vanilla you're looking at about like 1 or 2 levels at the end of every instance, and in Burning Crusade you get about maybe 60 to 90% experience just by completing every instance as well. So it's absolutely nuts. Of course, there are some bad things about leveling this way. You don't get to experience like all the quests, like in all the open world. So if you are with a new player, they might find it a little bit dull just sitting in Orgrimmar or Stormwind the whole time waiting for the next queue to pop, just getting teleported places. They might want to actually experience the world, as well as it being a bit overwhelming maybe for some new players who don't really understand game mechanics yet, and how like they need to do their role, especially if they're a tank or a healer. It's a bit risky putting them in there because they might die and then they might not enjoy it and all that kind of stuff. So you might want to take those things into account, as well as like the queue times are absolutely terrible if you're a double DPS composition. I highly recommend you run with either a tank or a healer, at least in your setup somewhere. Especially if you can both, like, one tank and one healer is amazing. So do take that into account. It can take a really long time to get into these instances sometimes. But overall, it is 100% the fastest way. If one of you is a tank and a healer and the queue times aren't too bad, you'll race through the levels so fast. So if you are going to go into the dungeon finder like route, there are some more technical bits and pieces that you need to know, like what you need to do at like each level, because it does change throughout. So I'm going to go through each one of the little like level gaps and explain what you need to do. So through 1 to 15, you just need to get to level 15. If you're trying to do it as fast as possible, what I recommend doing is getting to about level 8 or 9 through quests, and then just like killing loads of mobs as you run from zone to zone. I found that to be the quickest possible route for me. But to be honest, quests are really fast. It shouldn't take you more than a couple hours to get to 15 at most. I think I've done it in under 30 minutes before. So it's very, very easy to do. You can get there very quickly. Once you hit level 15, you'll be running 5-mans constantly. Because in Cataclysm, they made the instances a lot more friendly in terms of how like the quests are placed and how long the instances are. It's really, really, really good. It's super fast experience. A lot of quests to hand in. You shouldn't have any problems at all. When you get to around level 52 to like 57 area, you might start running the same instances over and over and over again, so you won't be having any more quests. It's still worth doing because of the random like lump of experience that you get at the end of it through the rewards, so it's still worth just doing that all the way. But once you do hit level 58, you actually be able to sign for Hellfire Citadel. Now you won't be able to do this through the random experience, as you cannot sign for the random Burning Crusade instances yet. However, once you complete Hellfire Citadel, you should be around level 59 because there are so many mobs in there and they're so tightly packed. You should be able to clear the place in probably about under half an hour. That's quite a long one, so it should be about 20 minutes or so. So if you clear all of that, you'll definitely get to 59, then you can start signing for it randomly. So continue to keep doing random Burning Crusade instances. It will be slightly slower than vanilla instances, one because you need more experience per level generally as you level up, and the like boost of experience at the end isn't as good, but it's still amazing in Burning Crusade. So just continue to do that till you get to around level 68. Now once you hit level 68, this is where the Wrath of the Lich King instances come in. At this point, the bonus experience gained from signing randomly is terrible. The quests in the instances is where all the experience is. Now as you can only complete the dungeon instances once, running the same instance twice really slows you down. So what you should do, instead of signing randomly for each instance, you should now sign using the specific instance tab that you find in the Dungeon Finder UI. When you are signing for each one of these instances and you're going through them, make sure that you always sign for the lowest level instance that you have yet to do, as some instances can be signed for, yet you are too low to actually accept the quests that are within them. So make sure you always start with Utgard Keep, then the Nexus, then just go on one by one. Each instance should give you about 1 to 1.5 levels, so like you will start being fine towards the end of it. Now you will actually get to the point where you will be able to go into Violet Hold. Never go into Violet Hold. It's like the worst instance in the whole of Wrath of the Lich King. There are very few mobs that spawn at set intervals and there's only one quest in there. Skip this instance. It's just the worst instance ever. If you do run out of specific instances to join, still don't do this instance. You should go to Zoldarak in Northrend and do the Amphitheatre of Anguish quest chain, which is like the Ring of Blood for Wrath of the Lich King. So you just fight elite mobs one after another, like little mini bosses, and you get a ton of experience. You should be able to two-man this if you're running a healer, but if not, the area is normally populated through the cross-realm system, or you can just get like a level 90 friend to quickly pop down and just kill everything for you. So yeah, it's a really good quest chain. It should give you about 1.5 levels as well, and it shouldn't take more than 20 minutes. So I highly recommend doing that over Violet Hold any day of the week. So continue to sign up for random instances till you reach level 80, but like some of the later instances, such as Utgard Pinnacle and the Oculus, are actually fairly difficult as they are designed for like level 80 characters. So do watch out a little bit. Don't pull like the whole instance. You will probably die. It's a bit more tougher than you think. But if you can also avoid the culling of Strathholm instance, then do. It is quite a long instance with like a lot of RP. It's nowhere near as bad as Violet Hold, but it's still not great. So now that you hit level 80, between level 80 and 85, I haven't actually had a huge amount of experience with Recruit a Friend, because Recruit a Friend used to end at level 80. It's only recently been increased to level 85. Now the fastest possible thing to do, really, is to be boosted in like either Stonecore or the Lost City of the Tolvir, because there's a huge amount of mobs. They're really, really densely packed up, and like it's very, very quick instances to clear. But if you don't have someone to boost you, or you don't want to be boosted, then I'd recommend doing the quests in each of the zone, while doing each instance once to complete all of the dungeon quests within them, because once again the random experience you get for signing up to them randomly isn't really that great. So it's up to you really. You can keep spam running instances if you want, but like I'd recommend like a bit of a balance between them. Now, as you are getting closer to level 85, make sure that you allow the recruit to gain a couple % experience over the veteran. This will allow him to hit level 85 first, and then with the veteran being on level 84 with a high % of experience, let the recruit grant you a level, and that will make it so you're a level 85 with a high % of experience, so you can skip the Jade Forest, as I said in the beginning. So that's just amazing. So that's the route I actually take. There's a couple of things you might want to note about it. That it is much better if you do run with a tank and a healer combo, especially if you can play like hybrid classes such as druids, monks and paladins, because then you can kind of fulfill any role ever and just try and get all the heirloom that you need for it. So you can pretty much go into any instance group. You'll always be in high demand. Also, if you are going to run a double DPS composition, do be prepared for really long queue time, so you may want to go and do quests at the same time if it's really bad, but if you're going to be leveling several ults, it might actually be worth you trying to like work out what ults you want to level and try and match them up properly, so you always have a tank or you always have a healer, so you can at least do the instances really fast. Also, just a note about the races that you want to do. With races, it doesn't really matter which ones you want to do. I always had the most success with Blood Elves and Ore Control, because the Blood Elf starting zone has that huge like cut down the middle of it that you can go down and like kill the mobs as you run down, and by the end of it you're like level 15 anyway. And the All Control place has like a high density of mobs as well, but the ones I would recommend that you stay away from is Worgen, Goblin and Panda, because they're starting zones. You can't leave them until you've like completed the main quest chain. So in terms of actual speed, it's going to take you a long time. But of course, if you want to play a Panda, oh well, I'm going to have to spend an extra hour doing that beginning part. It doesn't really matter, you know, so it's entirely up to you what sort of classes you want to play. But that's what I'd recommend. Try and avoid those races if you are going for speed and speed alone. So that's pretty much all you need to know about Recruit a Friend. That's all I have to offer condensed into this video. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Make sure you leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video and would like more non-raid WoW guide videos in the future. So that kind of thing. And do leave a comment down below if you have any questions or comments, and I'll make sure I read through them and get back to the people who need any help. Also, for those who didn't know, FatBoss Weekly is back for the entire year, and for our first episode we're actually having a Plantronics headset giveaway, so if you want in on that and all that kind of stuff, then the link is in the description below. You got till next Wednesday until the winner is chosen, so there you go, you can go check that out if you like. So thanks a lot for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.